So guys, I have a question. If I were to ask you to describe a cruiser in some detailed terms, would it be safe to say a lot of you guys would say big, heavy, torque, hard to handle at low speeds? Are these some terms that we would all agree that are synonymous with cruisers? My question to you then is, what happens when you take all of that away and you put it in a smaller platform? Is it still a cruiser? Are the people that care about those things going to like this motorcycle? Today I'm going to do my 30-day review on the Moto Morini Calibro Bagger, and it basically takes all of those stereotypical terms and it throws them out the window, and I think it's throwing them out the window in the best way that it possibly can. So today, we're going to go over that, and we're going to talk about who I feel like this bike is for, where it is in the market, and overall, what I think about it as a motorcycle.
Guys, this video is sponsored by Quadlock, and they are my absolute go-to for phone mounting on my motorcycle. So throughout this video, you're going to see my phone in front on the handlebars on the motorcycle. This is how I had that set up. So this is the bar clamp, and it comes with a ton of these little adapters. You can see this is a 1-inch adapter, and you get a ton of these that'll fit any sized bar. You also get this little Allen wrench that you can adjust it with. From there, we have this little pivoting arm. You just pop this on the little ball, you loosen it up, and you can move this around on the handlebars of the motorcycle and put your phone wherever you want it. So the next thing we're going to do is the vibration damper. What this is going to do is stop the vibrations from the motorcycle to get into your phone, because that can mess up your phone's cameras. Boom, vibration damper is on there. And then the final step is the actual Quadlock itself. So that's, I guess, where they get the name, and then you just push it to release your phone. And all we got to do to install it is get the Allen out that it's supplied with your package. And that is the entire setup. Now, to make this work, you just pair this with the Quadlock case on your phone. You match the slots up like that, rotate it, and then the phone's not going anywhere. And the vibrations of the motorcycle are not going to mess up your phone's cameras. With this setup, you are good to go with any motorcycle that has a bar on it. Guys, I absolutely love Quadlock. Every bike in the garage always has a Quadlock. I cannot ride a motorcycle without a Quadlock at this point. If you guys want a discount, I got a link for you in the description down below. All right, let's get to this 1 month review.
All right, so guys, 30 days on the Calibro, and I gotta come clean about something. I don't know how this happened, but over the last probably 45 days, my schedule has been just dumb, like so dumb I have to just look at it and laugh. And because of that, I have not put nearly the amount of miles on the Calibro as I normally would for a long-term loaner bike. So I do want to put that out there, that and it's not because of the bike, it's literally because of the schedule and my time. And this part of the year always gets kind of busy, you know, like all the companies get ramped up on putting their bikes out and their gear out, so you have a lot of opportunities come through, and I have just done a terrible job of managing all of those responsibilities. So to that, I apologize, but that is not going to stop me from making an awesome longer term review for you guys. Just because I haven't put like 1,000 miles on this thing doesn't mean I don't, you know, think about the bike and think who it would be good for and stuff like that. So that's what we're going to be knocking out today. So guys, if you're just stumbling across this video and you aren't familiar with the channel, I would let you know that this is my longer term review of this bike. But if you guys are interested in my first impressions of the bike, I'll have a link in the description. You guys can go check out the first ride video that we did on it. That's a more tech and spec specific video, and I go into the aspects there. The long-term review is more like, you know, I've been riding around in this thing, how do I feel about it? So it depends what you're looking for. There's the scrape. I could feel it. I could feel it in my soul. It was coming. So yeah, if you haven't seen that first ride and you're really, you know, doing a lot of research into this bike, I'd recommend you go check that out. So guys, the Calibro, and let me just like set the stage for you guys. I don't have a ton of personal experience longer term. You know, I've done short term ones, but I don't have a lot of long term experience on this lighter middleweight cruiser segment. And every time I ride one of these middleweight cruisers, it makes me feel like these things need to be more popular, because in my head, and I think in a lot of people's heads, cruisers mean a couple things: big, heavy, rumbling, you know, torquey, and very expensive. And I think that's kind of why we're seeing this, and maybe it's just me, but I feel like there's this move away from cruisers right now, which I find interesting, and I think this could be the issue. But yeah, as I've had this bike in the house, it's made me think about this whole cruiser segment. And I don't know if this is true or not, but from the stuff I see on the internet, it seems like there's this move going on away from cruisers, and people are like discovering that sport bikes and ADV bikes can offer everything a cruiser can and generally perform better. But I feel like what's happening is there's such this mentality in the market that cruisers are these heavy bikes and they're very expensive. Honestly, I think when people think cruisers, they think of Harleys and Indians, and those are two very expensive motorcycle brands. I don't feel like there's many middleweight cruiser bikes that are fun to ride, cost effective, and still give you that whole cruiser vibe. Like the Calibro here has competition in what? The 500 Honda Rebel and the Kawasaki Vulcan. So like realistically, we're gonna say the Rebel because that's the more popular competitor. And I feel like there's just a lack of bikes on the market to give people those choices. So I really do like the idea of MotoMorini coming into that segment where I feel like far more people would ride these motorcycles if they knew there were like cost-effective options out there that were fun and not too low CC. Like, for example, the Honda Rebel 300, in my personal opinion, I think that bike is too low CC that Honda really doesn't even need to offer that anymore. I feel like, at least in the US market, you know, worldwide, everything's different, but for the US market, the 300 is just not something I see a lot of people I don't see myself being able to recommend a lot of people to get that motorcycle. Whereas the 500 does a much better job. So I love that MotoMorini is entering this market and giving people another option than the Honda Rebel 500, which is currently a very popular option. Tons of people buy the Rebel, and it's a solid motorcycle if you're looking for a middleweight light cruiser. But MotoMorini does this fun thing of they come into that space and they're offering a motorcycle that has more power, costs less, and the real only downside, other than looks, and that's, you know, that's subjective, but the only downside on the MotoMorini is that it's a little heavier. I think it's like by 40 pounds or something like that. So yeah, I feel like there's this mass exodus of guys leaving the cruiser space, at least in my age bracket and stuff like that. Like, obviously there's always going to be like an older demographic that only want to ride cruisers, like the Harley tried and true. I don't think those guys are going anywhere, but I think you guys are probably listening to all this and be like, cool. What the hell does that have to do with a freaking Moto Morini Calibro Bagger? And I appreciate that, because I tend to tangent sometimes. But the point of me saying all that is, when you decide to go with a big cruiser, that is an investment, not only in money, obviously, because those things are expensive as hell, but it's also an investment in energy every time you want to go ride one of those. They are big and they are a lot. So yeah, there's times, actually, you know what, dare I say, the majority of the times I go ride, I think I would rather go out and have a chill, enjoyable ride versus go down and, you know, go around and just like ride hard. I feel like there's got to be a good balance, and that's where I love the Calibro. There's going to be far more opportunities where I'm like, you know what? I want to get on this thing and just go out and cruise and have a good time versus something big. Because, like, what if I've had a long freaking week at work and I'm tired, but I want to go ride my bike? You know what I mean? And if my body is exhausted, I don't want to be having to pick up this giant motorcycle and ride it around and get exhausted. So I love the middleweight cruisers for that. And honestly, I think the Calibro is a phenomenal option. I think that's one of the things I've noticed. Anytime I've grabbed the keys and got on the Calibro and rode around, it's just enjoyable. And I'm really guilty about when I get on a motorcycle a lot of the time. You know, I don't know about you guys, but the vast majority of the time, my brain clicks into like, all right, game time, let's go. And, you know, I get antsy, I get excited. I just enjoy motorcycle riding, and because of that, I very too often ride a little too aggressively. But I think that's because a lot of the bikes I'm riding, where if I rode a different motorcycle that was a more chill, enjoyable bike, I don't think I would be like that, because I noticed that's how it is on the Calibro. I find myself when I'm on this bike, I'm much more chill and enjoyable, and I'm able to just enjoy the ride. The seat's really comfortable, handlebars are in a good position, and I just really have a good time. So I do appreciate the Calibro for that fact alone, that it helps me as a rider remember that motorcycling can be super enjoyable and super fun, even if you're not just pushing the limit all the time and everywhere you go, if that makes sense. And it takes certain bikes to be able to do that, to just enjoy the ride. And you need something comfortable, something chill. This bike has enough power to get yourself in trouble, for sure. It's got plenty of stuff for the highway. There's only like a couple things about this bike that I don't personally like. I do enjoy the looks. I like the looks of this bike a lot. The only thing I wish was that this big fairing up front was bigger, because I wish it blocked more air. When I get up to speed, you know, like anything over, I don't know, 50 or 60, I can feel a lot of wind coming onto my helmet. And I think if they just modify this thing a little bit, it would be much better at blocking the wind. And I also wish this bike had cruise control, because I think it would be a phenomenal touring bike, especially at the price point that it is. But on a bike like this, I need good wind protection and cruise control for me to even think of considering it as a touring bike. And unfortunately, it's not there. You know, the wind's going to annoy me on the highway, which I guess says something in itself, right? Like, this bike has so many things going for it. It just needs two things that could really do a good job in an entire category, the whole touring category. So it's like, if the bike was shitty, I wouldn't care. But it's like, you get so frustrated when it gets so close to what could be awesome. Another thing that is a personal preference thing that I don't like are the blinkers. I do not like the blinkers. Each side has a blinker, and to cancel it, you just hit the blinker again. That's a Harley thing. It's on a lot of Harleys and Harley style bikes. It's on this style bike, so it is what it is. The people that ride nothing but cruisers are probably used to that, but I feel like if a middleweight cruiser, I could be way off base with this, because this is not my stereotypical crowd. So if I'm off on this, you guys let me know. But I feel like the type of guy that's going to be used to having a right blinker on the right side, left blinker on the left side, the kind of guy that's used to that's been riding Harleys for a while, right? What is the lowest MSRP Harley there is? Like what, 14 grand? Like expensive, right? This bike is like what, 6,000? Something like that? Less than 6? This is a cost-effective middleweight. I do not think the same person considering a Harley is going to be considering a Calibro Bagger from Moto Morini. I feel like the person that's going to be looking at this motorcycle might be on a Japanese Naked or something like that. Or maybe they're on a sport bike and they're tired of the sporty stuff and they want something more comfortable. that's the person I think is going to be going to this motorcycle, not a guy that's used to the, you know, the big cruiser stuff, like the stereotypical accoutrement you're used to on the cruiser space. So I feel like they're kind of, you know, they're trying to take some things from the traditional cruisers, but I don't really think it makes sense. We got the side key. I'm going to be honest, I think the side key is fun. There's not a lot of bikes that have that, and I enjoy the hell out of it. It's just something unique and interesting. But it's that cruiser person that I feel like some of the things they're going for, but I don't think it's a cruiser person buying this motorcycle. You know what? Let's play a game. I'm going to give you guys the ideal person that I think is going to look into buying a Moto Morini Calibro Bagger. I'm going to describe them. So this is a casual rider. They value being comfortable on their motorcycle. Power is not the most important aspect, and they're looking for something that gives them a lot of value. And I know you're probably thinking, well, doesn't everybody want value out of their motorcycle? And let me tell you, hell no, they do not. A lot of riders, they care about looks, they care about brand, they care about things like that. They do not give a shit about value. Regardless, the person buying the Moto Morini, they care about value. They want it to be stylish and look good, but it's not the most important thing. This is the person that I see wanting to buy a Moto Morini Calibro Bagger, which is, I do think that there's a large market for that. I think there's a lot of guys that really enjoy motorcycle riding, but they want something comfortable and they want something casual. It is hard to imagine someone like this for me because I am so not that person. I do want comfort. I'm not saying, you know, I'm not on super sports anymore for a reason, but I value a few other things than that, and riding technically is a big deal for me. I very much enjoy doing that, but I want to do that on a motorcycle that's comfortable. And as you guys have seen throughout this video, leaning this motorcycle over is not the easiest thing. There is some ground clearance situation. You guys have heard me scrape the pegs on this bike multiple times now. So you could, it would not take a large imagination to realize that if I were to go into the mountains, I would be limited by this motorcycle. So yeah, this person I'm trying to think of is definitely not me. I'm trying to come up with this person off the top of my head, but that's who I think is looking for this bike. So guys, one thing I want to do on this video to help you guys in case you're looking at picking up the Calibro, I want to do an impromptu comparison, just a little pros and cons list, comparing this to what I would consider its main rival, the Honda Rebel. So, one, like I said earlier, this bike is going to be more powerful, which I've heard a lot of complaints about the Honda Rebel 500, that it's not powerful enough. So, you're going to have a more powerful motorcycle. It's going to come in at a cheaper price point, and the one thing you're going to get out of the Calibro that you probably aren't thinking about is uniqueness. Moto Morini is a newer brand to the US market at least, and you are not going to see as many of these riding around as you will a Honda Rebel, which is a highly purchased motorcycle here in the US. And one of the cool things about that is Moto Morini apparently are like designed in Italy, so you're going to have a little bit of that Italian flair on a motorcycle, which is typically not synonymous with something that's cost effective. So I think it's kind of cool if you're looking, you know, you're still looking for, you're that person that I described earlier, and you're looking for all of those things, but you can actually get something that has a little bit of that design aesthetic from bikes that would be a little more expensive. I'm thinking of like Ducati bikes, right? Nobody thinks Ducati is as cost effective, but they're designed in Italy. Same thing with Moto Morini. So those are the pros for going with the Moto Morini. There are a couple cons though. So one is with Moto Morini being a newer brand to the market, you are going to have to wait some time to really flesh these bikes out find out the weak points that they have and, stuff in the market like that. And that's just something that takes time. It'll definitely happen over time. Another thing is, and I've talked to MotoMorini about this, their dealer network is still in its kind of growing phase. So you are not going to have as many options for dealer networks for a MotoMorini as you would something like a Honda Rebel. Like, I think all of us have a Honda dealer within not too far from us, but you should definitely check MotoMorini's website because they're growing so much. There's no point in me showing you guys a map. But that is something to consider on a motorcycle, especially one that you plan on buying and riding a lot. You're going to have to get it serviced. And where are you going to get that serviced at? It's just something you need to check into. For all you know, you could have one 2 miles down the road. You know what I'm saying? So double check their map on their website. I'm sure you guys can find it quickly and easily. I don't need to really help you out with that. But that's just something to consider. Speaking of that dealer network, I do need to mention and hop back to the pros real quick. And that is the warranty that MotoMorini has on these motorcycles. If you want to understand how much a company believes in their product, you can look at the warranty. So just to give you guys a baseline, Honda on the 500 Rebel, if I understand correctly, generally offers a 1-year unlimited mile warranty on the motorcycle, right? So if anything on that bike goes wrong in the first year, you can warranty it, and that will cover the cost of that for the first year. Unlimited miles. So you can ride 1,000,000 miles. I don't know how you do that, but power to you if you could. MotoMorini is offering a 3-year unlimited mile warranty on this motorcycle. So pros of that, obviously the company is standing behind their product and they believe in their product. The bad part of that is still going to be the dealership availability and how local it is to you. So it's not going to solve that problem, but you can rest assured getting a motorcycle that is newer to the market with a newer company, you don't have to worry about the bike going bad, you know what I mean, or it breaking. People say the craziest stuff online about what they think about like cost-effective bikes and how they're going to just fall apart, but it's just like when they offer a warranty, even if it did fall apart, which they will not, you literally get it warranted and it costs you nothing. So it's always, I always find it silly, the conversations some people are having online about motorcycles. Another thing that you're gonna have to think about, if you're a person that is buying a motorcycle and you really want to customize this thing to be you and look like you, there is not going to be as many aftermarket companies making stuff for the MotoMorini as there will be the Honda Rebel, because as we've talked about, the Honda Rebel has been on the market for so much longer. The MotoMorini is brand new. And one of the things I feel good about is this is a great motorcycle. It looks good. It comes in at a great price. And I feel like it fills a void in the market that there needs to be filled. And because of that, I feel like a lot of these are going to get sold. And generally, that's what happens with aftermarket companies. You get a motorcycle in the market that gets really popular, and the more popular it gets, the more parts get made. But overall, this is what I feel like cruisers can be and should be in the future. I love having little bags. I don't need big bags. I just want to put a drink in there and maybe some camera gear, a t-shirt or a hoodie. I want to be able to put that in there and just like carry a few small things with me. I want to be comfortable. I want to have a bike that looks good. And I personally think the Calibro looks solid. I just kind of love this space for cruisers. And I want people to start realizing that cruiser doesn't just mean big, heavy, torquey. Like, it can mean this: lightweight, comfortable, easy to ride, and just casual, That's kind of what I look at the Calibro as. It's the casual cruiser. It's the cruiser that you can just have a chill time on. You don't have to be ripping your neck off and all this kind of stuff. And honestly, every time I go ride this bike, I enjoy that. The only negatives like I talked about were I want cruise control and a slightly different aerodynamic thing going on in the front. just to make it have a little better wind resistance. And with all of that, this bike could literally be one of the best lightweight touring bikes on the market if it could add those stuff. But anyways, guys, that's going to wrap up my 1 month review on the Calibro Bagger. I really appreciate MotoMorini letting me borrow this thing and take it around. I think this is a phenomenal addition to this market. You guys let me know in the comments. Do you agree with everything I'm saying, or do you think I'm just like way off base with the whole cruiser side? You know, I'm not a hardcore cruiser guy, so maybe I made some assumptions that aren't true. Help me out in the comments down below. You guys know I love having conversations with y'all down there. I'm ChaseOnTwoWheels. You guys please go out there and ride safe. And I'll see you on the next one. Later, guys.